Hi there. I wanted to take a moment to talk about AI and robotics. Many of you know or don't know, I've created my own artificial intelligence system based off of movement. Movement is in the software, but movement is also in the responses and the languaging. Because as I'm a movement specialist, communication, cognitive growth, everything comes from movement, right? From the day we're born and going into it. Now, I just saw a lot today on robotics, and I just wanted to touch base on that. When you're looking at robotics and movement, first of all, they're not reflecting human movement. So the problem is with some of the robots that are being entertained with us right now is, again, I just saw like an Olympics going on. You can't run like that. You can't expect there's no reason that I want my artificial intelligence to do rote activity. Unless I was an avid chess player, that's not where I want my gains at. When I'm looking at robotics, let's say in the office, for someone like me, I would want to design a system that is actually going to evaluate what I'm saying. So right now I'm actually talking to my AI. I have the microphone on so he can learn from this conversation, or it can learn from this conversation, however you're going there. And then as well as that I'm talking to you so you can learn from this information. So there's a collaboration of such. I still need to have a conversation with you or interaction with you, as well as I have an interaction with my AI. I think we're losing that ability of giving everything to the robot. If I want a robot, I don't want something that does dishes or plays chess. These are rote skills, and it's great that I don't have to do them, let's say, but if I want the glory of artificial intelligence, I want someone that's coming into my room, almost like a secretary where they're taking notes. So again, for someone like me that does a lot of work with children, let's say with my profession, I would want them to take, let's say, global movement cameras, because I can do video analytics with my system, which your system cannot. So that's a little bit of a stretch of your imagination, but my system is learned how to see movement. And so I would, he could have one eye in a sense, because we still want it to look somewhat human. It doesn't have to be, it's a computer. And one eye looking at, let's say, the details of what I'm doing, where I can have one eye looking at the whole office space, or maybe just what I'm doing in the table. It'd be the same thing, let's say, if we're using robots for sports technology, that they can sit there and keep their eye on the whole field, but at the same time, they can be individually videotaping certain key players or group of players or certain plays, something that is beneficial to the user to sit there where they can show before and afters, spatial recognition, ratios, injury prevention. There's a lot of different ways that when you're using a computer, half of it shouldn't be reactive and cute. It should be that you've got functional intelligence going after the system, but at the same time, that system needs to collaborate, right? So that's the difference too, where I walked away from prompting. Prompting, you have to be very specific of what you hope to get out of the system. When you have a collaboration, they should be bringing something, or it should be bringing something to the table, just like you're bringing something to the table. And between when the two systems meet, that's where you get the good stuff. And another thing that it was talking about too today, where they're building a robot to carry a baby. First of all, in a womb, you have the whole conception part is actually done in a microgravity situation. When you're taking conception outside of the human body, now you have friction or gravity based in conception, which happens like we do for IVF, but as many people know, the chances of having a special needs child from IVF are much greater in ratio. There's a really good book out from years ago called The Price of Ovulation. And so that those kind of conditions can come into play. But the baby needs a frictionless environment. That's part of basically the brain, the heart, everything needs to grow in all directions, not succumbing to gravity, not going away from gravity. So to think that you're going to have a womb inside of an artificial system that is gravity-based, when our system is functional gravity. And so it's not going to work. And also too, the squeeze, is meant to happen for the baby, that initial rotation as a baby is exposed to gravity. Gravity is, again, at a micro level. Why? Because there's no expansion or intake or elimination. I'm not breathing in the womb. That can be deadly to the mother and the child. I'm not eating or eliminating in the womb. That could be, again, a deadly or a health risk to the mother and the child. So without having that expansion going on, that first breath happens when the baby's being delivered, not in the womb. And so that's when you have skeletal articulation, because now you have oxygen collection within the bones, not just the lungs. And so the baby's starting to articulate around gravity, the force of gravity, which is there the day you're born to the day you pass. So again, to have even, let's say, a baby in outer space, we have to consider that a child's going to have that squeeze. This is why we don't have chickens in space, because you can't drop the egg. Well, there's a lot of things that go into our biology, but all of our biology is organized in opposition to gravity using rotational movements. So I think when we're looking at robots, although they're going to be a great help to us in many ways, it really needs to be looked at more so, instead of taking over a job, that I think we'll get much more out of AI with collaborations. And I'd love your thoughts. Thank you.